Hump Day, first take on a Wednesday, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. Max Kellerman, Stephen Smith, I'm Molly Kara.
I'm doing what's going on.
You're revved up. I just heard you.
I don't know. Well, listen, I'm always revved up. I don't like the implication that I'm ready to go.
Yeah, you're always on.
Now, listen,
always ready.
I'm not ready to go at 7:30 in the morning. I'll be the first to admit that. All right. I'm certainly not ready to go when Thanksgiving you got 25 kids around just driving you crazy.
Still talking
You know when
about
you're not
those
ready to
kids.
go?
They mess with my Thanksgiving.
You know when he's not ready to
then.
go? He's not ready to go when he's traveling to the West Coast, and we got, by his time, a 4:30 a.m. conference
That's
call.
the best when we call you in the conference call. It's like, hello, hello. I'm like, where is this man right now? What is happening right now on the other end of that phone call?
But there are palm trees outside with sunshine.
You're not complaining, right?
I think I'm going to be all right. I think I'm going to be all right. I think I'm going to be all right.
Speaking of the West Coast, but actually they were playing on the East Coast. Doc Rivers with the classic hold me back moment in BK. Rivers was handed a second technical foul and an automatic ejection for his tirade. That followed the Clippers' 127-122 double OT loss to the Nets. His first technical came after walking almost to the Nets bench to argue a foul call as the Clippers trailed by 2 late in the first OT. What's up, Doc?
Well, I thought it was awful tech. You know, honestly, I think you guys know why the tech was called. The official who had nothing to do with the play thought I was yelling at Lauren, and I wasn't. You know, we were actually, she said, Doc, you're right or whatever, let's walk back. We were walking. We wasn't even arguing. So it was a damnedest tech to give at that time, and you know what the league's going to do. They're going to fall back on he crossed half court. That's you see tomorrow. That's what they're going to say, and we're going to all know that that's not the real reason. I don't think an official that has nothing to do with the play should be giving someone a tech. That's my thing. That's why I got upset. He didn't know what we were talking about, and it wasn't even an argument. So, but listen, that had nothing to do with the game. That's the game.
The Clippers start off 10-1, and now after losing 3 in a row, they're 4-4 in their last 8. Stephen A., let's get into our feelings.
Yes.
How do we feel about what we're seeing from the Clippers right now?
Well, I don't feel very good because what I'm seeing is the same old Clippers. Certainly Doc Rivers going off. That's an entirely different thing. I think that a lot of people get on Doc Rivers, the coach. I don't get on him as the coach. I think Doc Rivers is an excellent coach. I think he's exceptional, and he's a champion, and he's a master motivator. His record as a GM has not been the greatest because there have been times where you needed to build that bench, which I believe he went out and did this offseason. I like the acquisition of Spates. I like a Raymond Felton and guys like that on this squad. I think that they bring an added dimension to the team because it contributes to the depth. What I'm looking for from the Clippers, however, here's the problem. What did I try to tell you, Max? You know what I'm saying? I know you got Golden State, but at the same time, we talked about the Clippers. And what did I sit up there and say to you, Max Kellerman? I said, look, man, I got to see it to believe it. I know Blake Griffin could play. Chris Paul, I mean, you want a quintessential prototypical point guard. I want Chris Paul to be the leader on my team. DeAndre Jordan, it would really be nice for you to make free throws. It would really, I mean, I'm touched. You're 21st in the league in free throw shooting, and I have no doubt that DeAndre Jordan has something to do with that. I just think that's safe to say. I think
that ship has sailed. His free throw ship has sailed.
I just think that it's safe to say. It's safe to say. Having said all of that, what I'm seeing is what I told you when everybody was getting all excited, talking about they're the best team in the NBA. Look at their start right now. I'm like, pump the brakes, it's early. And what happens? The loss to Detroit, a loss by 21 to the Indiana Pacers, and now you lose in double overtime to the Brooklyn Nets. Who plays on the Nets? I cover the NBA. I don't even know who plays on the Nets. I mean, that's how bad it is. I mean, when I think about it, are you kidding me? Jeremy Lin. Yeah, I forgot he was there. I mean, it's the Nets for crying out loud. I think they're on a come up. Sean may do a good job eventually, but I'm just saying, I'm just looking at them. Sean Marks, I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm just looking at them and I'm saying, if
it wasn't for the Sixers, the Nets would be the story.
So having said that, maybe you're trying to motivate them for the game against the Cleveland Cavaliers, who usually smack them around from time to time or whatever the case may be. Had to cover that game for radio last year when the Clippers hosted the Cavs, and the Cavs smoked them last year. But in the end, what it comes down to is that these are the Clippers. They're good, they're talented, but their talent level, their record doesn't live up to their talent level. And I'm not talking about record in terms of wins and losses. I'm talking about the type of losses that they have, and when they suffer those losses, this talent is too good for that to happen, but it keeps happening. It's the latest example right now.
I have a different take on this. First of all, let me say, before I say this, that Doc Rivers is a great coach. And that I love basketball. Really, I love the NBA more than basketball, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
I love the NBA.
Basketball is your second love, the way boxing is mine.
Right, exactly.
No.
And Doc Rivers has forgotten more basketball than I'll ever know. Let me just preface that, okay?
Right.
And now let me say this. What we saw yesterday, and he addressed the tech on TV, that's the issue with the Clippers right now. Because in the NBA, in a best of 7, the best team always wins. Now, I picked them as the team most likely to upset the apple cart. I don't think they will, because they're not as good as the Warriors. In a best of 7, the Warriors will beat them. And right now, they're not even as good as the Spurs, as usual. Popovich is working his magic, even with the retirement of Duncan, and they're the Spurs. But the Clippers are going to be very, very good. They're going to be a top 4 seed in the West. It's not beyond the realm of possibility that they could beat the Warriors, but they're going to need every single thing to go their way, including and maybe especially, Stephen A., what? The refs' whistles. They need those calls. And when you think about the Clippers, they are not a liked team. They're a disliked team. They're disliked by other teams and players on other teams. They're disliked around the league. And they're disliked by officials. And when Doc is at war with the officials, what he's doing is setting up a situation heading into the playoffs, because in the NBA, we all know who's going to the playoffs, especially the elite teams. No one's arguing Clippers ain't going to be in the playoffs.
Right.
And heading in there, the officials are unlikely to blow the whistle in their favor and much more likely to look the other way when that should happen and blow the whistle in the opponent's favor. And given that they're simply not as good as the Warriors and maybe not the Spurs, that is the exact opposite of what they need. So I prefaced it by saying Doc Rivers forgot more basketball than I ever know. I understand that. But Doc, I think, has to ask himself. He has to weigh this stuff where on the one hand he's fighting for his team and being fiery and all that stuff, and on the other hand he has to ask himself, what kind of culture do I want to create around the team, at least as it's perceived by the rest of the league and especially the officials? And is it worth, in the moment, getting heated at the officials over a tech I don't think should be called, or do I need to pull back a little bit to give my guys the best chance to win?
Your argument, you make valid points, but I would say that last night isn't the one to make it off of. He had every right to explode the way that he did. You are an official. You have no business calling a technical foul and ejecting a coach from the game because he's talking to another official when you have no knowledge of what they're talking about. You don't get to make that assumption. You sort of usurped the authority that is bestowed upon the official that's in presence of the coach at that particular moment. Whoever that official was overstepped his bounds, and Doc Rivers was absolutely right to call him out on it. However, here's where it gets interesting. Covering the league, as I do, and you always pause because you know where I'm going in terms of when I'm telling you information.
Just so people know, hold on, just so people know, when sometimes you got to read between the lines with Stephen A.
Right.
He's telling you things, he'll stick to a point. I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't make it.
I'm told.
He talked to people.
Now, in this case, I'll just put it out there. There have been complaints over the last year. The combination of Doc Rivers and Chris Paul, as elite as I believe both are, they do rake officials' nerves. They talk a lot and are perceived as complaining a lot. I don't know because I'm not always sitting actually courtside. I'm usually standing, you know, in a tunnel or whatever the case, because I don't like sitting down during the games. So my point is that I'm not always at the scorer's table per se, but you get, not that that's the only place you can complain with an official, but Chris Paul and Doc Rivers do have a reputation of really raking the officials' nerves. The officials have said privately, and it has disseminated throughout the NBA, that those two individuals beat up on officials a lot verbally. If that is true, then that speaks to your point as to what kind of impact that can have. But I will tell you this, when I watch the Clippers, I don't see them devoid of a championship because of officiating.
Right.
I see them devoid of it because of free throw shooting on the part of DeAndre Jordan, an offense where you got a shooting guard and J.J. Redick that can shoot 45% from three-point range the way that he is right now, but defensive lapses at the wrong time, mistakes at the wrong time on the offensive end of the floor, and dudes like Blake Griffin, who's an absolute star, but when you need him to step up to that elevated level where it ain't about the numbers, it's about the moment, there are times where we find ourselves saying, yo, Blake, where you at?
But I agree with all that. And really, even with all that, it's really just the existence of the Warriors in their conference that really eliminates them from moving on. But when you look at what Doc has here, they have continuity. They've played together for a bunch of years. They have 2 legit superstars. They have another all-star. They have a deeper bench than they've had in recent years. They have a great coach. They have a major market. They have a team-friendly owner. They have every single thing going for them. Still probably not good enough to get past the Warriors, but that's why I'm saying Doc has to ask himself, am I giving us the best possible chance to win? Or is he and Chris Paul, are they letting their competitiveness get the better of them and not picking and choosing?
Or are they whining too much?
I'm not bringing Chris Paul in as part of this equation because I've seen Chris Paul judiciously go about the business of working the ref.
Right,
ref 1 minute, you know, or the other minute he's quiet and he's performing. Not to mention the fact that he shows up in big moments. What I would ask you to consider is this. What's a bigger issue here? To me, it sounds like your biggest issue is Doc needing to ask himself that question you just said he should ask. To me, the biggest issue is, yo, Blake, we know you a star. What's up? Now, last year he was hurt, so please, I'm not holding him accountable for that. But Blake Griffin is, talent-wise, is a superstar.
He's playing out of his mind this year.
And he's playing out of his mind this year.
He sat coach's decision last year.
But you got to remember, even when he's playing out of his mind, there's those big moments. I'm not talking about big games, because he'll never disappear for a whole game. But in big moments in those games, you'd have found yourself on occasion looking for Blake Griffin.
Yes.
And that can't happen. He's got to be that dude because Chris Paul's a 6'1" guard. He ain't Steph Curry going to pull up from 40. Chris Paul is an orchestrator. He runs a show. He's the captain of a ship. It's Blake Griffin's job to elevate himself to that next level.
If Blake had the thing you're talking about, he wouldn't just be a top 5 or 6 player. He'd be even better than that.
Yes.
He'd be in the non-LeBron conversation.
I need him to be
for
that
best player in the league. So I'm not saying that wouldn't be even better than what they have. What I'm saying is we're reacting to Doc right now.
Okay.
And what Doc said on that sound based on the tech and the ejection last night.
Okay.
And to me, the issue there is what I said. Doc, this is your best shot. Do you want to give yourself the best shot, or do you want to stack the deck against you when it's already stacked against you?
That's a fair question. That's a fair question.
All right, we'll leave it there. You guys know what time it is. Trying to keep up with the Joneses. Stephen Jones, the Cowboys CEO and Director of Player Personnel, also Jerry's son, did a video Q&A with Cowboys fans and was asked to name the most difficult Cowboys decision he's had to make.
No question for me, it's been our decision here to play the hot hand and keep going with Dak, and have Tony, who has handled this with such class and such professionalism in terms of what's in the best interest of our football team at this moment. But certainly been very difficult for everybody because of all the great things Tony's done for our franchise.
Oh, Max, what does this say about the Joneses?
I think it says really good things, to tell you the truth. Yes, I do. Look, the NFL is ruthless in terms of their efficiency, right? And that's ideally how business works. That business should be very efficient, and they run the team as a business and all that. But there is a redeeming quality about people who not only value loyalty, but reciprocate it. Who have, and this happens even with bad people who play for the Cowboys. You see Jerry Jones come out and defend them and like, dude, you can't defend that guy. Do you know what that guy just did? I mean, how many times are we up here talking about that? And it's because Jerry Jones, in his personal experience, and Marcellus Wiley, my former broadcast partner, happy birthday, by the way.
Happy birthday, Marcellus.
Yeah, so, but Marcellus Wiley used to talk about this. He played 1 year for Jerry Jones. Didn't play well. I mean, for Bill Parcells on the Cowboys, and has nothing but good things to say about Jerry Jones. The people who play for him like them because he has their back no matter what. He's a loyal guy, and you see it in Stephen Jones, too. Now, it's not toward every player all the time. In this case, it's the quarterback, the longtime quarterback. That bodes well for Dak Prescott. That would make me, if I were a player, want to play for the Cowboys, that they not only demand loyalty, but reciprocate it, even when it's unpopular. And I think that's why, and in this case, they handled the whole thing right the whole time. Well, it's Romo, it's Romo, it's Romo. Okay, maybe it's Dak. Okay, now it's Dak. Hey, Tony, can you hold a press conference just telling everyone so we can move on? And what's Romo supposed to say at that point? No to the people who have been that loyal to him? I'm sure Romo, though it was difficult, probably said, in this imagined conversation in my own mind, probably said, I got to do what I got to do for these people. They do it for me. And it is a redeeming quality of the Cowboys and of Jerry and Stephen Jones.
I'm being a little emotional right now because Max was so touching in what he just said. I mean, oh my Lord, the Dallas Cowboys are loyal and they're just so sensitive.
You was cold as ice, Stephen A.
No, I mean, hold on. Jerry Jones is such a wonderful guy, and so is Stephen Jones. I mean, Molly, isn't it touching? Isn't it touching? I mean, are you listening to Max Kellerman sit here talking about how touched he is about the Dallas Cowboys? Are you kidding me? Y'all make me sick with this nonsense. All right, fine. You're a boss, and you know what? This guy has performed for me for years, so because of that, it was such a hard decision. What the hell was hard about it? What was hard about it? Tony Romo's won 2 playoff games in 10 years? That's what's hard? That's what's hard. How about your fan base? How about the people the paying customers that you charge, the exorbitant prices that you charge to come to your billion-dollar playpen? How about that? How about the fact that they haven't had, what's the last time the Dallas Cowboys been in the NFC Championship game? 1995, was that the year? I mean, I'm looking, but I didn't see it. I got my glasses on right now. It was 1990. I mean, refresh my memory. David Sabino, is that true? Is it 1995? I mean, I think that's what it is. Not 1995 is 2016, going into 2017.
Hold on, carry the one.
Which carries the one over, which makes about 21 and a half years, 22 years, okay? 22 seasons you ain't been in a conference championship game with your billion-dollar playpen with all the headlines and everything like that, and we're supposed to sit up here and get all emotional. I mean, just Stephen Jones didn't even have the father didn't even have the decency to put that quote out there. It was the son. What was that, on Skype? Talking to fans or something?
That was a tight shot, though.
What was it? What was it?
Stephen A., that's a tough angle for anybody right there looking down like that.
What am I missing? What am I missing? Stephen Jones, it was just by far, it was just the hardest decision that I've ever made. So a guy that wins 2 playoff games for you in a decade, 2 in a decade, that you are paying about $108 million.
Maybe he needed Dak to count up some more wins.
It's so hard. It's so hard. So let me get this straight. Tony Romo getting paid lovely. You know what I'm saying? He ain't gonna be. There's no issues with him. The checks are coming. I think I remember correct. Checks are coming. Even while you got the back surgeries, even though while you're on the sideline with your Dallas Cowboy paraphernalia, even while you got the headsets on, don't have to take the hits to the back now. Don't have to worry about the broken collarbone now. Lord, the house is chill. And by the way, there's no state income taxes in Texas. I mean, my Lord. I mean, he's getting all that money. Let him come to New York. Let New York or New Jersey get some of those dollars in taxes, okay? But Tony Romo doesn't have to worry about that either.
You know?
And somehow, some way, I'm supposed to be touched.
When people ask our bosses, who do you think wins those debates, Max or Stephen A? And they're like, well, it's really hard, but, you know, Max beats him, but Stephen A really does great. They don't really mean that you do great compared to me. They're trying to protect your feelings.
The boss doesn't say that. The bosses are thinking about getting you a new wardrobe, my man. They're tired of the damn black and blue suits. They're tired of black and blue suits. That's what they're tired of, okay? They want you to step it up. They want you. When you gonna see Max or something like this, Molly? But we won't go there. We won't go there.
Molly, just tell him. Tell him. He doesn't know. All I'm trying
to say is this.
So vain.
Are we really supposed to be so
What would you like them to do differently?
No. All I'm trying to say is this. You know what?
Treat
him.
Why?
Time out. I don't know what this is, but here's my answer. Treat him like you would treat any quarterback who won 2 playoff games for you in a decade. That's all I ask. That's all I ask. Is that too much to ask, Bollywood? I don't think that's too much to ask.
They handled this perfectly, and they continue to handle it perfectly.
Max, Let me tell you something.
If something should happen to Dak Prescott, if for some reason his play falls off, or, you know, you don't wish injury on anyone, but some unforeseen incident should occur, and they need Tony Romo, do they want a Tony Romo who has the vote of confidence of the organization, who feels like they've had his back all along, or do they want a Tony Romo who feels abandoned? They are doing the right thing by their quarterback.
That is a good point for backup situations the rest of the season. That was a very good point.
By the way,
feel abandoned. That's what we said.
And by the way,
we said.
They haven't handled. It's not like they actually didn't play Dak once Romo got better. Right? Had they done that, then I would say, wait, this comment's out of line because Dak had the highest QBR in the most games this season and yada, yada, yada. That's not what happened. They're just paying lip service to Tony Romo to keep his confidence up, and somehow that's a bad thing?
Tony Romo.
Yeah, sometimes Stephen A. wins
that's
debates.
the
They
case,
need your
that makes
confidence
sense.
up.
I'm just saying.
he doesn't have a confidence problem. Don't worry about that.
We talked about. No, I don't. So we talked about Tony Romo, and I just want to make sure I'm clear. We're talking about his feelings.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Tony Romo's feelings.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Feeling
Tony
abandoned.
Romo, Tony Romo, 6 years.
Yeah.
$108 million.
Yeah.
Good about that.
Including,
Keep getting them checks.
hold on, including a $25 million signing bonus, $55 million in guaranteed dollars.
Yeah.
An average annual salary of $18 million per.
He can feed his family this Christmas.
This year alone, his base salary was $8.5 million.
Buy some therapy.
All right.
Feelings
So I'm just sitting there going like this. Really? That's where we are. We're talking about his because you know what?
Stephen A. Smith, you callous.
We don't want him to feel abandoned in case he has to get back in the game. We need him to feel good.
I just want to ask you a question, Molly Wood.
Yeah.
We don't want the $108 million quarterback who's won 2 playoff games in his career to feel abandoned.
No. We need his mind right in case he's got to step in.
I've
swayed to Max's side during this argument.
I just need to say
It's not all about the money. It's just mostly about the money.
It's always about the money.
It ain't all about the money.
It's
mostly about the money. Mostly about the money. It's not all about the money.
All about the Benjamins, baby. It's not about the Benjamins, right? $108 million, $55 million guaranteed,
that's right.
$25 million signing bonus. But we want to sit here and be sensitive to Tony Romo's feelings. Really?
Yeah.
You know.
And by the way, if I was Dak Prescott, I'd feel good about playing for this organization. Because when I'm old and a young kid replaces me, this is the treatment I can expect.
I would too. I would feel. I recall Jerry Jones mistreating Emmitt Smith. I'm just saying.
Yeah, not a quarterback.
I'm sorry. Oh, not a quarterback.
No.
Oh, so now we're going by position.
Yep.
Oh, so it's not the player.
Yep.
It's the position.
Yep.
And you see, because understand something. 1 minute he's saying it's the player because he brought in Marcellus Wiley, who didn't have that great of a year.
Yeah.
This is what Max said,
No,
not
he
me.
certainly did not.
Okay, so that's what he said.
Can you do that Max voice again?
He didn't have that great year, right? But Jerry Jones treated me great. But he mistreated Emmitt Smith now. I'm just saying.
Here's the other thing about Tony Romo. When at the end of a running back's career, when they're not good anymore, that's one thing. Tony Romo, when healthy, is still an excellent player. The issue
by the way,
is simply his availability.
Hold on.
3 of the last 4 seasons.
And you said what about his availability?
He's unavailable usually. Right, but now he is.
Oh, really?
His availability
So now,
is the best ability.
It's Wednesday.
What
that got to do with Sunday?
Because he's not playing, so he should remain available in case that isn't.
I'm saying
you want his confidence
Max
high.
Kellerman has sounded so bad about Tony Romo that even if Tony Romo was playing this Sunday, Max would sit there and say, well, it's Wednesday. Anything can happen between now and Sunday with him.
That's right.
That's what you would say.
That's why he's best served as a backup.
Really, exactly.
And where the Cowboys have him, by the way.
I never said he wasn't best served as a backup.
And that's where the Cowboys have him.
I'm talking about his feelings.
So you don't like the comments they're making supporting him?
I'm saying to you, you seem touched by their feelings for him.
Yeah.
And so do you.
We're playing mind games.
Stephen A. Smith, you can mock everyone's humanity. That doesn't discount it.
Mocking their humanity? Sure, Molly. I'm being cruel, Molly, because $108 million man, $55 million guaranteed. His feelings, y'all. Let me ask the camera folks over there. I'm insensitive. I'm insensitive, fellas. That's what it is. I'm insensitive to Tony Romo. You got to be. Hold on. Let me get my tissue.
If I made $108 million,
rich people have feelings too.
I would be
emotional. I'm getting emotional right now, okay? Stephen Jones. Let's go to break.
All right.
I'm just getting emotional.
We get to see the Cowboys play tomorrow, Thursday Night Football against the Vikings.
Tony Romo's feelings, his feelings, y'all. $108 million. His feelings. Be sensitive,
We don't want him to
Stephen A.
feel abandoned, okay?
Please.
Coming up, the second to last college football playoff rankings are out. So is the Big Ten getting too much respect? We'll break those down in a moment. Plus, could Steph Curry be thinking about leaving Golden State and his new super team? His latest comments might give fans in the Bay Area a little cause for concern.